Okay, everyone, settle down, because you know what time it is. Mr. McLaughlin's Distance Learning! Today what we're going to talk about is the Renaissance, specifically in Italy. Now there are three things that we're going to cover today. What was the Renaissance? Why was Italy a favorable place for the Renaissance to begin? And what kind of techniques and strategies did Italian painters and writers use during this time? What happens is, at this time, we're coming out of the Middle Ages, and Italy is not unified at this time. There's still many republics and kingdoms and duchies, duchies, I don't know what it is. Anyway, they're all broken up, so it's not unified. So people don't go around, hey, look at me, I'm an Italian. They say they're from whatever place they are from. So now, why Italy? Well, like I said, we just came out of the Middle Ages, and there is the plague, and we've gotten over the plague, the first wave of the plague, but Italy is almost untouched by a lot of this because of their geography, right? They're on a peninsula, and they have the Alps in the north. So they're kind of protected by our natural resources in that way. Also, you have a lot of reminders of the old art styles from the Greek and Roman times. So these structures are still standing and people see them constantly. Also, there is a ton of money flowing through certain cities in Italy. I mean, merchants, manufacturers, they're making everything. Yes, a question. No, plumbing was not a major concern of a lot of workers at this time. Where would you even think of that? The Super Mario Brothers. No, but one of the big jobs that was taking place, especially in Florence, was banking. Families were obsessed with banking, especially the Medici family. The Medici family was basically the people you went to if you needed a loan or if you needed someone to watch your money for you. Lorenzo de' Medici is one of the most famous of this family. So he was what was called a patron. Oh yes, you know what a patron is? Very good. A patron is someone who financially supports the arts. So basically, what Medici family would do is they'd say, oh, Luigi, you want to make a beautiful painting? And Luigi would say, oh yes, that sounds great. And they would pay for Luigi's materials and everything that he needed, as long as that art made some sort of profit. So the Medicis and other banking families like this were the big moneymakers and the big supporters of art and literature at the time. The next question is, what exactly is the Renaissance? Well, we know the word Renaissance means rebirth. So we're bringing back all these old ideas and concepts from ancient Rome and ancient Greece and coming back to life after the Middle Ages, after this time of darkness in Europe. Even though we've probably talked about in class how the Dark Ages weren't so dark, well, especially it wasn't dark outside all the time, but now during the Renaissance we have new ideas. We have old ideas being brought back to life. One of these new ideas is something called humanism. Hold on, pause for a drink. Are you done? Do you need to use the bathroom? Okay, you can go use the bathroom. Kids, can't live with them, can't live without them. So, humanism was this idea of taking worldly subjects and focusing on those instead of religion. Getting your answers from experiences in the world instead of just what comes from the Bible, the Quran, or any other written text at this time. Also, humanism focuses on the individual. It focuses on what people wanted to do and what their talents were. Does anyone have any specific talents that they want to share? Oh yes, go ahead. I wouldn't really say that's a talent, but sure, you're really good at it. One person who was an early humanist was a guy named Petrarch. Now what Petrarch did, besides having only one name, which is super cool, he was a historian, a poet, a humanist. He collected ancient texts. He's the one that coined the term the Dark Ages, and he used to write sonnets. He wrote so many sonnets. In case you don't know what a sonnet is, it's a poem set in a certain iambic pentameter, and it's written usually to someone you love. So he was writing sonnets to all different women all across Italy during this time. A real ladies' man. Much like me. Just kidding. Only one lady for me. This cat. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Mr. McLaughlin's Fun Fact of the Day! Today's fun fact actually takes place in Renaissance Italy. Did you know that Florence and Rome, two places that were major hubs of the Renaissance, were actually brutal enemies during this time? Now, they didn't go to war. They weren't fighting as enemies, but financial enemies. That's right. The Medici family lived in Florence. And who lived in Rome? Anybody know? That's right, the Pope. The Pope lived in Rome. So they would constantly be battling over who was more financially stable, who was spending more money, and it ultimately came out that Rome came out on top because the Pope wanted to make the Holy City, the Vatican, the best it's ever been. That's right, the Pope spent most of his money to make Rome super fancy so God liked him. It was great. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Stay tuned next time, because we're going to talk about some really famous artists and writers from the Italian Renaissance. Don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, and wash those hands.